the admin stuff that I'd done before. Because OBS is convinced we are live on YouTube. And OBS is rarely wrong about this sort of thing. You guys can just talk amongst yourselves for a bit. Hey, okay, right. We are back on YouTube. YouTube, you don't need to know the admin things that I said earlier. It's frankly not important, I guess, other than there is a fan in the background because otherwise it's too hot. There's 3 PCs running. Deal with it. Today we are celebrating, and it's going really well, by the way. Today we are celebrating the launch of the Kicking and Screaming EP by Blue Alatar. What does that mean? What are we actually celebrating? What are we going to do in today's stream? Because normally we'd be making music, right? Today we're looking in depth at some music I already made. Here is one of them, for example. I did have notes before everything went wrong. Yes, here we are. Okay. Blue Alatar is a project that I started, absolutely ages ago. I released my first Blue Alatar release was an album for some reason in 2018, so a while ago. Irradiated Hamster Alert took me like literally 10 years to write and record and release, and now listening back to it, I would do so much differently. But that's just the nature of doing anything creative, isn't it? You always look back and go, oh, if only I knew now what I knew then, or the opposite, whatever. But that's not how things work. So Irradiated Hamster Alert went out in 2018, and then I didn't really know what to do. I was a little bit frustrated because I put so much into it and I just wasn't happy with the results, so I resolved to not try quite so hard and trust my instinct a lot more. So then previous releases, following releases for Blue Alatar were much more occasional. There were a few EPs. The Elements EP was 4 tracks that I think really hold up. They're a few years old now, but I really like them. All of this stuff was instrumental. Genre, you folks know I don't really believe in genre as a concept, but I suppose in terms of genre, kind of cinematic, instrumental rock, little bits of heavy metal, orchestras, synthesizers, world instruments, folk instruments, a real mishmash of sort of just whatever I was into. Because of course I still have and I still do have the Musical Endeavour, which is much more funk, soul, hip hop, lo-fi sort of stuff, and these are the sort of 2 worlds that I'm into, and I don't necessarily think they gel, or at least I'm not interested in exploring whether or not they gel. So Blue Alatar is my thing for rock, guitar based folk music, world music, cinematic sound design as well. So that's what's going on now. That's why we're here. Today we are going to talk about... no, I've skipped a bit, haven't I? This is what's great about not rehearsing stuff. You get to see my real personality. So, Kicking and Screaming is important, not just because it's the most recent thing I've done. Kicking and Screaming is important because this is the first set of tunes that Blue Alatar have released that has a singer. An actual person that isn't me, on a microphone using their mouth to say lyrics, sing lyrics. I don't know why I chose to explain that, but I did. I guess I never really considered that I could have lyrics on Blue Alatar stuff. I just reached a point, I think probably about a year ago, where I was like, I do actually really want to explore that. I'm really into the Levelers, who are a kind of folk punk band from the UK, and there's a few other bands that are doing similar sort of things. They have like traditional folk instruments from the UK with essentially a rock or a punk band, and then someone singing on top, and usually it's quite political. It's stuff that I'm really into, and I was like, I kind of want to do like a Blue Alatar take on that. So that's what Kicking and Screaming is. So today we are celebrating the launch. These songs are out now. They're on all the platforms, the places one might usually expect to listen to music. if you search Kicking and Screaming Blue Alatar, or even just Blue Alatar, you'll find it. No one else has my name. No one else wants my name. So it's quite easy to find. There is also, I think wherever you are watching this, there is a link to the Ko-fi channel, the Ko-fi page, where I am selling these songs, and I'm selling them. They're available to download there for less than you would pay for them on other channels. I believe that's a very deliberate thing, because almost all of that money goes in my pocket. You know, the platforms don't really take a cut. Like if you go to Apple and you download some of my music, I don't really see any of that money, like 10 pence or something. You know, it's not much. But from Ko-fi, I get all of it, which is lovely for me. So yes, please do go to Ko-fi. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the 3 songs, one at a time. We're going to look at the Cubase production project for each song. We'll perhaps listen to the song each once through. I'm going to talk about some of the consistent stuff, like the amp settings that are pretty consistent and the drum sounds that are pretty consistent throughout. And then I'll talk about the things that make each individual song special, like the particular instrument, the particular folk instruments used, some of the effects, the sound design. And I'll talk about who's playing what instruments, how the parts were recorded, and then there's a entire separate project file which is for the mastering. So the mixing mostly happens in the individual project file. Well, I'll show you, right? We'll get into it. So let's start off with how are these songs written. So I, as some of you probably know, I started being a freelance media marketing person October 2021, I think. Yeah, that sounds right, doesn't it? It's towards the end of all the lockdowns and stuff. I left that job, and without getting too sort of into it, because I've covered this on podcast interviews and stuff that I've done about this music in the last couple of weeks. It wasn't a nice place to work. I had a lot of pent-up frustration even after I'd left, even, months after. I was still really angry about the way things went down. So I started putting some of that to paper, essentially, and trying to work through like my particular dissatisfaction. And it was basically, I think this time last year, where I sort of said, okay, these songs are basically finished. There's like odds and ends that I need to kind of tweak and finalize in the lyrics, but I want to start actually working on these songs. So obviously when I was writing lyrics, I was writing chords and like the occasional melody. So then I started actually recording it, I think about a year ago. And it was in November? ? November? Maybe maybe autumn, summer, not sure. Sometime towards the latter half of 2023, where my good friend Sai agreed to come on board and sing and play like a little bit of guitar and stuff here and there. And that was kind of when the project really picked up steam. That was when I brought on a couple other players to do things that I can't do. Yes, that's essentially how they were written. That's a big tick for that particular point. There's nothing really. I didn't really track how I wrote them. I just sort of wrote them, and I know that as a communicator, as an educator, that's a very unhelpful thing to say. I don't think the thing that makes these songs special is how they were written, to be honest. I think the thing that makes these songs special is the performances that went into the songs. Like, I like the lyrics I wrote, but they're not incredibly poetic. I think they're just pretty good, to be honest. I'm not like a big lyricist. I'm a writer. I use words, and I write. I've written comedy songs in the past, but I'm not a big lyricist. So I think the lyrics for someone, I think the lyrics with that in mind are quite good. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys really like them. I don't know. I don't want to imply that you're an idiot if you like these songs. I definitely don't think that. Right. So, what we'll do is we'll pick a song to start with. I mean, let's use the one that's already open. Yeah. I'm gonna play through the project file. All you really need to know is that the thing you're hearing in this project file isn't exactly how it sounds when it comes out the other end. In terms of levels, you are hearing the right instruments. You are also hearing Ozone 10 doing its thing at the mix out. Okay, it's decided to reboot. Let's turn that off then. You are hearing some master level plugins that I turned off when I exported this audio. I'll talk about more of that when we get into that whole thing. Let's listen through to Look You in the Eyes. Yes, I will press play now. You know, it's great when even Cubase is like, we're just not ready. Okay, we'll try that again. Let's listen to Look You in the Eyes.
Your pockets get deeper every day. Mine haven't grown in 20 years. You could have used your power to do something great. Instead you keep us paralyzed with fear. Your pedestal is crumbling to dust. There's a noose around your neck, all because of us. You are not real. You have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell you. Every one of us, down our tools and wait. The wheels of industry stop turning. We waited patiently for you to do the right thing. The working poor ain't gonna work no more. Your pedestal is crumbling to dust. There's a noose around your neck, all because of us. You are not real. You have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell you are not real. You have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell you. You are not real. You have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell
Yes. Where to begin? I mean, let's start top down, I guess. Like I said, the master level stuff, I've got some frequency and some maximizer going on here. That's just to get a slightly fuller sound when I'm sort of playing around with the approximate mix in this area. I'll just leave them on for the moment. Don't worry too much about the master level stuff. We'll talk about that in loads of detail later. So let's start with drums. I've clearly got 2 drum tracks here. One has someone's surname in it. So my good friend Harry Beasley agreed to come and session drums for these 3 songs and some other ones that will not be released just yet for Blue Alatar, which is very exciting. So what we ended up doing, because I only really have this space to record in, and it's a log cabin under a flight path, and when there's rain or pigeons you can hear them. So we thought about like hiring a place to record acoustic drums, and I'm like, aeroplane, there we go, just as if to prove my point. We talked about hiring a space to record drums in, and I was like, I have done that in the past, but it's not something I'm great at. You know, I would have liked to have practiced recording drums a little bit more. What we ended up doing was recording a electronic drum kit. I think it's... I actually can't remember what kind of kit he had. That's less important. So what I did initially was write a drum part with a studio drummer inside of Contact 7, which will now take several days to load. It's very good, but it will take several days to load. There we go. So studio drummer on the hard rock preset, because that was the sound that sounded best. I think I actually tweaked the hard rock preset somewhat. I like a slightly looser kick drum in terms of like tuning pitch downwards, and I like it's very little hi-hats and slightly lower cymbals in the mix, slightly lower room sound. So I think I exported this as like the preset and then loaded that up in the other project files. What this meant was Harry came in and recorded through MIDI and played the same drum kit that I had been mixing with and experimenting with initially. So I didn't have to worry about it sounding wrong. There was something like the MIDI notes weren't exactly right, so I think the snares for some reason were like several octaves higher, so I just had to move them around. Another aeroplane. I just had to move around the particular MIDI hits. There were some things where his main cymbal, which in my head would be Crash 1, like came through the MIDI as like Ride Bell or something. So just tweaking the cymbal hits every now and again. And it also meant that I could cut specific fills, for example, in and out. So what we did was we recorded 4 or 5 takes through of each song. And that basically meant that I could swap in and out individual fills. So there might be one take where he plays the basic patterns for the verse, chorus, bridge very well, very tight, very nice. But he forgot to do a fill the first time, so I could copy and paste the fill from another take, or he did a really kick-ass fill on the last take, so we can paste that in. Usually what I'll do is I'll get a handful of takes, so I know that not only have we got it, and this is what I do for vocals, for anything, we'll do a handful of takes, so I've definitely got it. Not only do I have it, I have options, and I maybe have some cheeky options for layering as well if I want, and then we'll do a wild card take, which is just don't really think, just sort of go, just kind of play. And you don't always have the luxury for time when you're doing stuff. Sorry, these people all need to go away. I'm doing a thing right now, and you're not important. You are important, just not right now. Get it back on track, Liam. Normally, you don't always have the luxury of time, do you? When you're in a recording environment and you're paying people by the hour, or you're paying for the space by the hour. But luckily we did have time, so we got the takes that I needed, and then I said just go nuts, just see what happens. I think some of these ridiculous fills came out of came out of that particular take. I think this one. Just absolutely wild. Like, you know, stuff like that. So you always want to have like a fun play around wildcard take, I reckon. Nice one, Harry. We'll hear more from him later. When it got to the mix master, one of the things that I sort of felt was missing was sub kick, like really sort of bassy kick. So I did a separate channel where I basically just duplicated, and you can see I've got this MIDI information, which I think is hi-hat control MIDI information that I just didn't get rid of. I basically got rid of every hit that isn't a kick drum. I think I left the velocity basically the same. I don't know if you would have heard that, because I have used the same instrument. I've made it mono. I have put a bit of an octave on there, and I've really nuked the EQ. So it's just like dense sub kick stuff. So that's happening. Go away. In addition to the EQ, which is just the Monster Drums preset, which I'm a big fan of, which comes standard in Frequency, the EQ plugin, and we have a multi-band compressor, which likewise, this is the Drums 1 setting from Cubase. I'm not embarrassed about using presets. So the combination of the drums, it sounds pretty cool. The snare is nice and snappy. Cool. Then bass. The bass is me. I'm not like the best bassist in the world, so I sort of deliberately wrote stuff that didn't need like an excellent player. I've got some other music in the works which where I've written bass parts that I cannot play. Or maybe I could play like 10 years ago when I was doing quite a lot of bass playing, but not now. So yes, this bass guitar is just me. I think this is all one to... okay, so this is take number 9 up to here, and then take number 10. Fine. Let's take number 4. Weird. You might be able to tell that this song originally ended here, and if we open up things like the mandolin, you can see I've chopped it up a little bit because the song did end here. I just felt like it needed another go around, you know? We needed to hear that chorus one more time. So what's happening in terms of the bass guitar? It is a Stag 4-string electric bass. We are in E-flat tuning, so it's tuned half a step down. It's actually a bass that Sai gave me. It's his old bass. I'm quite fond of that bass. It's my only fretted bass. I would usually, if I was going to play bass in Blue Alatar, play a fretless. It's a Stag bass, 4 strings, E-flat tuning, with flat wounds. Probably Ernie Ball flat wounds. A big fan of all of that. In terms of the amp settings, inside of Guitar Rig 6, yes, we are using a slight alteration of the Super Bass presets, I think. I turned off this EQ because I wanted to do the EQ. Otherwise, I think maybe I used slightly less of the compressor here. Don't know, not sure. There's the slight boost EQ setting we used as a starting point inside of Frequency, and then the rock bass preset. So I think we're outputting at around -6 here. We're quite high up in the mix. Was I automating the mix of that? No. Interesting. Was I? No, okay. I thought I was automating the mix there, but apparently not. That's fine. So yeah, just those three. Like quite a straightforward kind of bass setting there. Then we have too many guitars. Actually, this one's got a perfectly normal number of guitars. Distorted guitar 1. I actually I think for all of these songs I intended to go back in and re-record rhythm guitar parts, but I didn't, because I didn't want to be the guy that did a million takes, because I already think I'm the guy that does a million takes. I'm trying to not be that guy, so I just sort of dealt with the tracks as they were, the takes as they were. So distorted guitar number 1. We have guitar rig, of course. This started as the high gain breather preset. I think I'm tweaked it ever so slightly. So it's this now. And again, I saved that as a preset, and then so I could use it on the other tracks, on the other pieces of music. So there's a degree of consistency with guitar tone and stuff. The idea being that if I were to play this live, whoever's playing the distorted electric guitar shouldn't be changing amp settings between every song, because that's mad, and that's a great way for a sound technician to hate you. We have a rhythm electric guitar chug preset. Again, I don't think I tweaked that. Maybe I took out some more low end. We have tube compressor again. AM electric guitar dirty. I like this tube compressor for distorted guitars. Have we got any automation going on? Yes, we have a little bit of panning. So when we get over to this bridge, the guitar goes completely left ear rather than mostly left ear. So we're sort of panned left 73 here. And then for this purple bit, the bridge, we're just completely left. I've automated the tube screamer pedal to come on and off. So it's off in the verses and pre-choruses and comes on for the chorus and bridge, just to get a slightly different sound. The level also comes down. The amp gain turns. Oh. This thing. So we have the screamer comes on and the gain turns as well. So that's, in my head, that's kind of just like rolling off the volume on the guitar itself. So that's what's going on there. We also have an effects channel. We have the guitar amp room. This is just a send from this channel. It goes through Roomworks. It's a short, about 3/4 of a second reverb set to 100% with 2 milliseconds delay. So that's why the guitar sounds more wide than it actually is, because we've got that room sound. Everything, by the way, I think I will talk about the room setting. There is a room send, and I was initially in the individual project files sending everything through a room send. I scrapped that idea and I implemented the room send in the master level project file, which we'll get to later. So that's distorted guitar 1. FX guitar. This is the kind of surf guitar that you hear throughout. It's not throughout, is it? Apologies. This is the surf guitar that you hear in the choruses, and that's it. Guitar rig. We basically just have a tremolo. This is very similar to the previous setting. We've got tube screamer turned off. We have a compressor, and we have a tremolo, and we have lower gain. That's all that's really going on here. The tremolo, I think, is set to eighths, so it's in time with the music. I don't always time my tremolos with the music, but when I do, it sounds like a surf guitar. So that's the rhythm guitars. We have guitar solo. So we've got, I think this is based on, this is an entirely different preset, although it's, interesting, what's happening here? So, God, it's been so long since I actually looked at this. Let's open up used automation. No, we're just automating volume and pan. So, interesting, yeah, I'm just using the fire breather amp. That's it, these other four are off. There's some delay and there's some frequency. Electric guitar solo lead, as opposed to solo. I don't know. That's a weird thing to call it. Whatever. And we got some delay. So the guitar solo. Oh, that's interesting. Stereo delay. So the left channel is synced and the right channel is not. That's interesting, I think. Oh, it's not on yet. Whatever. So the guitar solo, yes, we have 2 pick slides. And honestly, if you're going to do a pick slide, you may as well pan it left to right. And into the next chorus, I think I'm doing exactly the same thing, but in reverse. I also have a pedal tone. Quite a nasty, quite a loose pedal tone. Tell me if you can hear it.
All because of us, you are not real. You have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell you.
I think, honestly, I think I nailed the balance there, because this is one of those things where you can... It's sort of hard to pick out, but when you mute it, I think you notice something is missing. So I'm really happy with that. So that's the pedal tone that happens there. And then the guitar solo, what have we changed? We've brought the volume up quite significantly. Is the delay actually on? Oh, it is. Okay, I think it's just quite low in the mix, isn't it? Oh yeah, because it's... Yeah, okay. Cool, okay, fine, whatever. Guitar solo. Initially there wasn't a guitar solo there. It was actually Sai that, for some reason, encouraged me to play more guitar. I sort of thought about having vocals here instead. Because the rhythm guitar is playing something quite high up, isn't it? And initially I was like, I'm sort of going for like a folk punk kind of thing. I don't know if I necessarily want guitar solos. And then I was sort of talking to some people who perhaps don't know me as well as Sai does. People I really trust the opinions of, but people who perhaps don't have as much history with me as Sai does. And they all sort of said, like, could we do a really good guitar solo in this song? Not necessarily this one, but in some of the other ones. They're like, could you do like a really kick-ass guitar solo? I'm like, I mean, I was sort of trying to not with this, but then I did it and it sounded great. So that was the case with No Thanks to You, another song we'll get to. But then this one, I was like, well, actually, yeah, I could probably do the same sort of thing here. This isn't like shreddy or crazy or anything, but like I'm pretty happy with it. Sorry, let me just block these spammy people. Go away, we don't want you here. If buying views worked, more people would do it. And you wouldn't have to come into my chat to try and sell your wares. Weird. That's the guitar solo. Organ. This is... when I played it through earlier, it cut out weirdly, which I think is just the factor of, like, there's quite a lot of plugins going on. And I don't take very good care of my things. So this is the... what is the plugin? Vintage Organs Contact 7. The Oye Como Va preset. I like it. I think it's great. So... really, there's the organ's sort of there just filling space because I didn't want to have two guitars throughout. But actually, there's I do really like the sort of Hammondy rock organ kind of sound. So it's doing a couple different jobs. The right hand part is mimicking the melody from the guitar. It's kind of doing a more developed version of that, so they're kind of acting in counterpoint. And then when we get to the chorus here, I'm doing it in versions, so the chords constantly move up. If you've watched any of my live streams before where we've talked about like upwards inversions for epicness, this is the same sort of thing. So although the guitar's playing much more normal guitar inversions because it's doing power chords, the organ is moving upwards. Just to give it that sense of kind of epic crescendo sort of stuff. And there's like a little counter melody in verse 2. Comes in with the rhythm guitar in a quite satisfying way. I'm a big fan of that. Yes, there's lots of like, although it feels quite stripped back compared to some of the stuff I've written, there's lots of like little nuggets of melodies and counter melodies that you can really sort of sink your teeth into. And the coolest thing that the organ does is this thing towards the end where it matches up with what the mandolin is playing. We'll play more of that in a minute when we get to mandolin. What I sort of didn't know about organs, Hammond sort of rock organs, until recently I started working with a guy that's been in music longer than I have been alive. The MIDI for his organs has like loads of random wrong notes, and I was like, I should really tidy this up for him. It sounds so much better. For example, well, like here's a little tiny example. We've got like an accidental whatever that is, and if we didn't have that there, it'd just be boring. No. Much better. I think there's another great example. Yeah, here, I think... Oh, where is it? Yeah, the left hand here, there's just like some random notes for sort of percussion. That left hand thing just makes like a nice clicky sound. We've also got like an incidental C up to C sharp. there's another one here. Again, just that shouldn't exist if we're being really strict about music theory. But it makes it sound like it's being played by someone really cool. So I did a lot of that sort of stuff. Just sounds more performative, more like a real person. 99% of the organs were handwritten in MIDI by me. I tried learning and playing it. It just didn't sound very good, so I didn't bother. What I did press record for is like these sort of glissandos. That one might have been drawn in, actually, because it's quite neat and tidy. You'll see some other glissandos in other tracks that are like, I definitely recorded in myself. That's the organ. We've got a chord track here, which is usually helpful for when I'm recording and not sure what's going on. Mandolin. I fully intended to re-record the mandolin, but I didn't. This looks like the first take. I'm not sure if that's correct. I used to love playing mandolin. I sort of stopped playing it because the frets are so small. We'll talk about bouzouki later. Bouzouki is basically a large mandolin with a slightly lower register. The mandolin is a sound that I really like, but I really struggled to play it because of my massive heckin' chonky hands. So I sort of learned enough to work through this song, and this song needed to have mandolin because it's sort of inspired by a song called 15 Years by the Levelers, a band that I've spoken about earlier, I think. And they in 15 Years they do quite a similar thing with the rhythm of the mandolin. I think that's why this song is in E flat, actually, to make the mandolin easier to play. So they have that sort of boom, boom, like almost umpa sort of rhythm played on the mandolin with quite a lot of delay, and I just love the way that blends with like the vocals, the guitars, the everything.
Pockets get deeper every
Just
day.
love it.
Mine haven't grown in 20 years.
Big fan of all of that. That's the most notable thing I'm playing. I think the rest of it I'm sort of just playing root notes. I'm playing the melody as well. So it's all of these guys. This is quite a sort of Celtic inspired thing to have lots of instruments playing in unison. Not harmony, just unison. Yes. Ooh, I hate that button. There we go. So what is going on? So we have 3 tracks of mandolin here. We have the SE2000 large diaphragm condenser by SE Electronics, an oldie but a goodie, a classic SM57, and then a Pezio style stick on, blue tack it on kind of pickup. I think that we just got those 3. There must be like a send. Yes, they're grouped together. So we've got the 3 of them with slightly different EQs. They're all sort of like nerfing the low end. So the SM57 is nerfing the low end. That's the only thing going on. 2000, we've got a little bit of a mid boost there. And the pickup, we've got like a little low mid boost and a little high mid boost. And we're cutting out the low end as well. They also have slightly different panning. So the pickup is sort of middle, slightly off to the right. The 57 is off to the right. The condenser is off to the left, I suppose, because that's the roomier sound. So we're sort of doing the opposite of what the distorted guitar was doing earlier. I need to turn off these Outlook updates. How crazy. Those are all going through this group track, and this has volume control. So in the choruses, when it's playing the melody, we kind of want it to blend. We want it to stand out a little bit more in the verses. And of course we have some compression going on there, just a touch of compression, and some more EQ. I think there was a bit of compression going on just the pickup channel as well. It's slightly more dramatic, I suppose, because it's so close and picky. I wanted to smooth that out a wee bit. So those are all put together in a dish and EQ'd and compressed. And then, of course, we've got the delay. More delay in the left than the right. I don't know why. I guess the left was sort of a roomier channel. That kind of makes sense. I love the way the mandolin blends with this track. That takes us to vocals. The vocals were recorded actually on a couple different days. So, where do we start? These green ones, we have again the SE2000 and the Dynacaster, what I'm talking through right now. So Cy was about this distance from the Dynacaster. I told him to eat the mic. We used one of those SE Electronics sound wall things. And the SE2000 is sort of positioned, I guess kind of the equivalent is, it's kind of positioned where my handy Kofi link is. Like it's a little bit above his head, just to get a slightly roomier sound. So that by itself sounds like this.
Have no power over me. I will look you in the eyes when I tell you.
So just a bit roomier compared to the Dynacaster by itself.
You have no power over me.
Those two are going through a oh no, of course. Right, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We recorded the chorus because that thing was finished first. I still had like a couple little bits I wanted to work out for the verse. So I think we recorded all of the choruses for these 3 songs in one day. And then we weren't sure would we come back and redo them, but I sort of like, again, I like it. I like how they are. So that's why these are green and on separate tracks. We then came back and did the verse vocals, and you can see the verse vocals are just 2 distinct takes, just the Dynacaster. So let's have a little listen to that. So take number 1.
Pockets get deeper every day. Mine haven't grown in 20 years.
And let's listen to the second track there.
Your pockets get deeper every day. Mine haven't grown in 20 years.
Ever so slightly different melody towards the end there. I've sort of chopped them up and moved them around so they line up a little better. I've stretched this one, I think, because his years, I think the S happened either earlier or later, so I just did this to bring it in line. So we have this top take is like literally 3% on the right. It's for all intents and purposes central. The second take is slightly off to the left, and they sound like this together.
Your pockets get deeper every day. Mine haven't grown in 20 years.
Just a really nice combo. And they're all going through the main vocal group here. We have the room send that we're not using just yet. We have a de-esser because he is a little bit sibilant. I think I used the male S less preset, and I just sort of honed in on where his S's were.
Get deeper every day. Mine haven't grown in 20 years.
Yes. And then stereo delay. Again, we have a lot of stereo delay going on here. I'm a big fan of it. This is not locked to any rhythm on purpose because I wanted like a nice sort of slap back kind of sound. Yeah, that's most of the stuff. So we have a slightly different sound for the verse compared to the chorus, but I don't mind that.
There's a noose around your neck, all because of us. You are not real. You have no power over me.
I think it blends in a really nice way. There's a couple special things. I don't know what this is. Okay, I guess that's included here. All right. Okay, I guess I did that then. That's great. Absolutely ridiculous. So sorry, I'm very clearly going to need to make a clip of that. The next cool thing is here.
You are not real. You have no power over me.
So that is, I think I've killed the volume on everything else, or did I just let it? It sort of just fades out, doesn't it? Yeah. So we have the effect guitar, but we've put a bit of a filter on there, haven't we? We've kind of automated the low end cut off. In quite a satisfying way. So we've got that, and we have the vocals. So the vocals are a layer of 3 singing that line.
You are not real. You have no power over me.
I think this is one of the last things we recorded, and I sort of said, I want a nice harmony, and he gave me a nice 3-part harmony there, that thing we just heard. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want more. There's a folder here called Lots. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 vocals. Yes. And they've all got slightly different panning. That one has an octaver for some ungodly reason. I didn't even know I did that. That's ridiculous. Can't even really hear it, but I sort of love that as a concept. Oof, okay, yeah. And those are going through... a backing vox some. I haven't even spoken about backing vox, have I? So we have got some stuff. We've got 2 folders of backing vox for some reason. So these have been grouped. Good God, what is happening here? So we have a left pan group and a right pan group. So backing vocals.
You are not real.
This is where he's really sort of having a crack. That's, I think, what makes the choruses particularly special.
You are not real. You have no power over me.
So you've got these really sort of expressive, gravelly, shouty vocals in the chorus on either side, so it sounds big. And we have got, again, the SE2000 and the Dynacaster for both of these takes, just off to the sides, doing a big thing. So those, we've also got some stuff in the verse here. What is this?
Every one of us down our tools and wave.
Yeah.
The wheels of industry stop turning. We waited patiently for you to do the right thing. The working poor ain't gonna work no more. No more! Your pedestal.
Yeah, just getting him to... He's great at harmonies, is Sai, so just getting him to really explore those. And then we went completely over the top with the sort of the bridge thing there. So the bridge choir and the backing vocals all go through this backing vox sum. So we've got some, that must be like a backing vocal preset of some kind. We've got quite drastic compression going on there. We have the cloner as well to make more size. And we have some reverb as well. I think the reverb only comes in for that bridge bit.
You are not real.
Yeah.
You have no power over me. I will look you in the eye.
Yeah, and it disappears for the rest of it. I mean, that's this song. That really is all there is to it. I think in terms of instrumentation, in terms of ensemble, in terms of chords, this is probably the most straightforward one. Like, the only complication, and it's a minor one, is that we're in E flat. Like, that's literally that's the thing that makes this song difficult compared to the others, is that I need to remember to retune it. Whether I'm playing it was hard to batch the bass because I always have to retune, stupid things like that. I was going to play the mandolin and the organ in unison because from this the second time we hear that melody, the second time we hear that, the organ's playing the melody and the mandolin's playing that. Later in the song, they're playing in unison. I just think that's crazy. I wanted to have that sort of, I don't know, kind of gothic feeling, Celtic feeling sort of mandolin thing. And it blended really well here. But I wanted to make more of it, so then we got the keyboard to play in unison whilst Psy yells in the background. I think it works really well. That is Look You in the Eyes. I'm going to go full screen. Hello. That is Look You in the Eyes. Let's move on to the other song. Kicking and Screaming. So, when I first wrote these songs, Look You in the Eyes was my favourite. Then the song we'll hear after this one, No Thanks to You, was my favourite whilst we were recording stuff. Then when we got to mixing, this is true for Psy as well. Once we recorded the vocals and we really got into the mixing, Kicking and Screaming became our favourite for various reasons. So, I mean, let's start at the top again. We've got, let me put on just these basic master level things. We have an organ playing the main melody. That is just so loud. Sorry. Let's get rid of those, actually, in the end. Is it because Ozone is on? No, okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about ears. Now, you might be asking yourself, hey, Liam, that says Gurdy. Why the heck does that say Gurdy? Because originally it was going to be a hurdy-gurdy. In fact, there was a time where it was Ilian Pipes. So it would have been... Oh, is it not loaded, the Ilian Pipes? What treachery is this? That's okay, we can just really quickly... It'll be in no way worth it. Where are you? Nope. Bear with. Continue to bear with. Backpacks. Hitting backs. I mean, I still really dig that. We had hurdy-gurdy as a version as well. Did we not load the gurdy? We didn't load the gurdy. Hurdy-gurdy. Again, just a wall of sound. As much as I like hurdy-gurdy, it just doesn't play well with others, like, at all, you know. And Ilian Pipe's kind of the same. Like the upper register of the pipes, I really dug, but like, you know, I feel like you need to. I think you need the for want of a better term, the bass, the drone, the left hand of the pipes in order to make a full Ilian Pipes kind of sound. So eventually, I was like, it sounds absolutely fine on the organ. And it's actually played in unison with the bouzouki. We'll get to that in a little bit. So the organ, I think, kind of gives it like a sort of Steppenwolf psychedelic sort of vibe. Oh, my apologies. We're listening through to the track, aren't we? That's what we're doing first, Liam. Okay, I'll stop talking then. Here we go. Here's the track.
My assignment's so clear. I'll call it a culture war against generation fear. Making money, make money. I'll take what I can take. I won't live long enough to live with my mistakes. What are we proud of today? Is the enemy at the gates or in control? Empathy died at death. Why should anyone care? It would take too much patience to see through that lead paint stare. Lock the doors. Hate is my design. They'll believe their timeline before they believe their mind. What are we proud of today? Is the enemy at the gates or in control?
Yes, they are, be warned. Yes, so that's the song. We spoke about the organ already. I think it is still the Oh Yeah, Come Over. Yes, it is. Preset. I may have tweaked some of the bars at some point. The only thing I really automate with organs is the speed, I think. Oh, I haven't done that here. Interesting. I normally automate the speed of the rotary. I've apparently not done that here, and that's fine. What I have automated is modulation delay, just to bring it in and out a little bit. Yeah, that's basically all I've done. Yeah, you get a sort of nice, sort of spacey, phasey delay. Apologies if it got janky for a second there. It looks like we've recovered. I don't know why that is. Probably just because of the crappy infrastructure in my company. I think we're back though, aren't we? Okay, so organ. Bass, again, it's just me playing the bass. And just doing an okay job of playing the bass. This one doesn't even have an amp setting. Or does it? This has got a name, but it's clearly not anything. Yeah, fine. There is a bass synth as well, which is just Retrolog doing some cool stuff. Some cool bassy stuff. So in the bridge where there's like the percussion circle and stuff, we just have this. Very sort of low Dune sort of bass. Do I mean Dune? I don't know. Just a big wobbly analog synth with a lot of delay behind it. Drums, Harry Beasley again nailing it. Same story as before. We have the same settings, the same preset, the same extra sub kick channel. I mean, other than that, it's just Harry just doing a very excellent job of playing the drums. Yeah, big fan of all of that. Guitars. There's a lot happening with the guitars. So we have, I think, as before, we have a similar sort of, that same fire breather screamer combo for the left hand guitar. It's doing some funky cool stuff. You can see we've got some automation going on here. This gets totally lost in the mix, but I know it's there, and you're about to know it's there. And a bit of phaser, so when it comes back in, it's all phasey. In this bit. That's one of many things I've stolen from Eddie Van Halen over the years. Just occasionally having just a bit of phase on and off. And that tremolo thing I'm a big fan of as well. I don't know if you hear it with everything else that's going on, but I don't care. And then we come into this kind of melody thing. Again, lots of unison stuff. That's the organ and the keyboard. Guitar 2 is just big and chuggy. I don't think there's anything really being automated there. It's just a big noisy rhythm guitar. It's got the Ramfire preset. I didn't have this in the Look You in the Eyes. I think I do have this preset in No Thanks to You, I think. So the right hand guitar, very, very panned off to the side. I think left hand is maybe playing open chords, right hand's just playing power chords, just so you get a bit of differentiation. In this bit, he's just playing chugs, just chugging along. Very cool, big fan. We have these 3 things. These were a late stage addition. It's sort of like I expressed to Simon when we were looking at the mix for this, and I was thinking, I do kind of want something here, but I don't know what. And he was like, oh, we'll just do an 8-string guitar, obviously. And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, when you put it like that. So we have just this. Just like an octave lower, I think, than whatever these are doing. I'm not worrying about the little bit of mess at the front, just not a problem. And the slide, this is something I stole from the Levelers. I think this chorus bit sort of reminded me of a song of theirs called Hope Street, which has, I think, slide throughout. So Cy is playing the 8-string there. I'm playing a slide part on an 8-string because it was already plugged in. So we have this addition to the chorus, which along with everything else is great. And it's not weird that it isn't throughout, because this is where the vocals go. The vocals go in these gaps in the following choruses. I love that. So again, just very heavy guitars with again sort of these ramfire sort of presets. The slider's got delay and tremolo. There's quite a lot of crap going on here. I think I just chose whatever big preset. Or is that the same as... Oh no, those are both exactly the same. Okay, whatever. I just chose a heavy preset. Didn't want to overthink it. Didgeridoo. The wonderful Pits Quattrone, who was introduced to by a mutual friend, Roman. Didgeridoo Maverick. I think he's based in the States. So when I'd written this song and I started recording it and I had all the guitars and stuff, when I realised actually that the best melody instrument to have here, the organ, when I realised the best melody instrument to have here was the organ, I was sort of a bit like, but then we lose the kind of folk credentials of this song a little bit, if that's not hurdy-gurdy or pipes. Like, because that matters to me. We have got acoustic guitar, but we didn't have anything else, so I was like, okay, what could we do? And I sort of thought, actually, that the verses... The bass is playing this cool kind of riff, but actually there's a little space down there. What if we had like a didgeridoo? And this was all before I added the bouzouki as well. We'll get to that in a bit. I was like, bouzouki's going to really dominate. So initially we had this.
Puppeteer in a think tank. My assignment's so clear. I'll call it a culture war against.
Which I think is fine, but let's compare that to this.
Puppeteer in a think tank. My assignment's so clear.
It's just infinitely cooler, right? Like, of course it is. He did a great job, man. He basically just played through the entire song, and I was like, okay, actually, it needs it in the verse. It doesn't need the extra space in the choruses, so that's why we've chopped it up and sort of found like these natural points to sort of fade the didgeridoo in. There's quite a lot of delay going on there. I'm a big fan. So I chopped it up. I put a bit of EQ on there, and then sort of cut out some low and high end. I think like we were basically like in a we weren't really in a rush, but I think we felt like we were in a rush to record this didgeridoo. So we didn't really have an opportunity to get like a proper studio session for Pitt, so, and also because he's in the States, so it's a bit of a commute, you know. So he just recorded with I think some fairly bog standard stuff, so that's why the EQ's a little more extreme there. And then we've got cool stuff like replica going on as like a delay, guitar rig because it's got psych delay as well. That's got like a sort of octave to it as well, like an upwards octave, and then reverb as well. So there's quite a lot going on. So those effects, oh, they kick in later, okay. And the EQ sort of develops as well. I think I'm slightly less drastic in this bridge because there's more space. And I can add the ridiculous delay as well. And then it comes back. Just a big fan of all of that. Yeah, he did a great job. And we reintroduce it towards the end as well. Because I suppose the guitars are doing... They're not doing so much. They're kind of held out chords, so we can have the didgeridoo there. It's quite low in the mix, but it's definitely there. Acoustic guitar. Do I need to talk about these effects channels? No, not really. Acoustic guitar is a DI from the internal mic and a... Ooh, I think I might be about to lose my credentials here. I'm not sure because this was so long ago, but I think that might be a shotgun mic, like a Rode shotgun mic, which is not for music, but I think it's quite low in the mix compared to the DI, so the sort of combo sort of works. My intention was always to come back and re-record it, but again, it was fine. And again, there's just a bit of multi-band compression, a little bit of room doubling there. And then just automating the level throughout, and it just sort of blends. I sort of realised, like, as long as it's in tune and as long as like the rhythm is contributing, I'm not so worried about it being like, you know, 100% perfect quality, and you can get away with quite a lot when you're writing music. And what I think I'm quite good at is making the most of imperfect situations. Like, I love this recording space, but it's never going to be perfect, so actually don't worry about it too much, is my sort of ethos. So that's the acoustic guitar. Bouzouki I took a little more care of. I think we've got SM, that's probably 57, isn't it? SE2000. The SM57 is close. The SE2000 is not so close. Bouzouki is... it's kind of like a mandolin, but in the range of a guitar. Yeah, so you can totally just strum it like an acoustic guitar. chords sound really nice on it. It's, I think you can do sort of melodic mandolin style stuff as well. This is what's going on with the bouzouki. It's quite low in the mix there, which is why we've got a bit of fuzz. So it's just doubling up the organ. And then it's got that bit where it sort of comes into its own. The specific way the chords work on the bouzouki, it didn't really complement this heavy section. So we sort of swap back and forth between the bouzouki and the heaviness, I guess. I like that sort of combo. I think it's doubling up this melody as well. Oh no, I'm just sort of strumming, aren't I? Is it over here? So it's sort of buried in places, but it also has this very cool, like open string melody, which I really dig. That's the bouzouki, and then we're on to vocals and percussion. Man, my throat is drying up. I'm going to have to get a drink in a second. So, right, we have a main vocal folder. So I guess... Oh yeah, I guess these vocals weren't recorded... Oh, I guess we didn't have a chorus, so it must have just been No Thanks to You and Look You in the Eyes that we recorded the choruses on one day. And then I think there were 2 other sessions, so I think Kicking and Screaming might have been its own session. So we've got layers of Dynacaster. One's got a delay, the other one doesn't. And they're separate takes, so they've got their own personality to them.
My assignment's so clear.
Or are they?
I'll call it a culture war against.
They're very similar takes, but they are distinct.
Generation fear.
Those are sort of comped together in one channel. We then have harmony set. Interesting. Oh, okay, so I take it back. I guess we did record choruses to all 3 songs on one day. This has got that take. We just didn't use it as the primary vocal.
What are we proud of today?
Yeah, so that sort of complements.
What are we proud of today?
Yeah, okay, so I guess we did use that then. Fine, my bad. So we got harmonies there for the chorus. Harmony 2 is the high one towards the end.
What are we proud of today?
Maybe that should have been higher in the mix, but whatever.
What are we proud of today?
It's in there, And we got some sort of little bits here and there where we just wanted to add some density.
Making money, make money. Money, make money.
Big fan of that. And there's some call and response as well.
I won't live long enough to live with my mistakes.
And then some over here.
That lead paint stare.
What else we got?
They'll believe their timeline before they...
Oh, we've got a high vox thing here as well. Yes, this is the bit that Sai is particularly proud of, and I don't blame him.
They believe their mind.
Which just blends in such a satisfying way, because we don't break into that high register with Sai that often. So when we do, we gotta really signpost it,
Believe their mind. What are we proud of?
Yeah, lovely. He also does this sort of high kind of alternate version of the chorus.
It's the enemy. It's the enemy. It's the enemy.
Which is also what we hear at the end.
It's the enemy. It's the enemy. It's the enemy of the gates.
4 different layers, all panned quite far left and right. We have the vocal effects here as well. I think it's whatever sample going through the finger in reactor, and just a lot of delay. I think that's essentially it. So if we just play that. Boost that a little bit.
What are we proud of today?
You know, just some nonsense. So we can't really hear that unless we know we're listening for it. It's just sort of buried in there, you know? And it does like a sort of crescendo towards that chorus.
What are we proud of today?
And then drops off. There is percussion as well, and I mention that because it is sort of related. There is a reverse cymbal as well. Just to help that sort of rise or crescendo thing. Yeah, percussion. So before this had bouzouki, before this had didgeridoo, it had the acoustic guitar in this sort of drum circle thing. I think this is a combination of West African and Middle Eastern percussion, maybe. So we've got djembe, which is West African, dole, which I think is Indian. Indian rather than Middle Eastern, my apologies. Dolak is West African? Oh, Indian again. I don't know the names of all the drums. Kanja, I'm just going to assume, is also Indian. Yes. So a little tambourine thing. So we got these 4 sort of playing together, and they're sort of EQ'd as a group at the top here. They are playing ever so slightly tweaked presets. The djembe is playing just a programmed thing by me. We've got sort of tweaked presets here. I think I've come in, selected something that sounded kind of close to what I wanted, and then just like tweaked it a little bit to make it fit. Just again another way to like introduce some slightly more unusual sonic ideas. The same logic behind, I mean, most of what's going on here. And then we have the percussion in the outro as well. So then everything's together for this last bit. Yeah. That's kicking and screaming, I think. The composition, the chords are like nothing really particularly out there, I don't think. I'm just finding interesting ways to present these more normal chords. I think it's just sort of A, D, E, and G chords. You know, the chords in the chorus, the only thing really playing chords in the chorus is the acoustic guitar, I think, and it's just sort of vamping around like a D sort of E minor 7 kind of pattern. So So it's doing like an octave shape. So it's playing E, G, E, D. But it's also playing like the open low E string and high B and E strings. So we sort of together have a implication of E minor 7, and then it's like A sus 2. Yeah, those are the chords that are going on. It's nothing like particularly out there. I think it's the melodies and the production that make it special, and obviously as well as the vocals. Sweet. So let's move on to No Thanks to You. I'm going to get a drink or something while we play through the track. Because we're probably over halfway. There isn't loads to talk about on the master level. Oh God, is everything there? Yes, okay. I'm going to hit play, and then I'll get myself a little drink.
You said won't work if I don't fall into it. You talk the talk, that's why you're here. But this routine is falling apart and I won't be a part of it. So what'll you do now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time? No thanks to you, no thanks to you. It's your move, just following orders or laying down the rules. It's a disorder, making a power play, hoping I'll back away. How much do you make? Does it help you sleep? What does it do to your ego to see us stand in your way? So what'll you do now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time? No thanks to you, no thanks to you. Look around you. What have you got left? Standing alone, king of nothing. Have you got somewhere to be? New people that push around, hope they don't make a sound. Or have you learned your lesson? So what'll you do now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time? No thanks to you, no thanks to you.
Yes. Big fan of all of that. So, where to begin? Well, the same way we've begun all of these other ones, I guess. I'm going to do a big burp. I turned the mic down because I'm a pro. Drums are exactly the same as everything else we've spoken about. They've got the sub kick. They've got the same process for recording Harry. So let's work our way down. Percussion, we've got... Is it a tambourine? What have we got? Oh, okay. Yeah, the bongos. You need the bongos in there, because otherwise you've not got any bongos. I think they're just sort of vibing.
Does it help you sleep?
Just adds a bit of energy in the background. Again, one of those things where, like, if you turn it off...
What does it do to your ego to see us standing?
You just lose a little bit of energy, you know? So I think they're quite important. Bass is me. You can see I've chopped it up a little bit more. Bass is recorded essentially the same way everything else has. There is no sound in this guitar rig. That's fine. I like a dry bass sound. The bass and the rhythm guitar changed. Initially, they were much chuggier. They were just power chords. Dun 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 dun. I much prefer this. This song, believe it or not, this song is me trying to be Blur. There's a couple little ways that presents itself. This kind of guitar part and bass part is part of that. Not doing the chuggy thing, doing instead something slightly more rhythmic, slightly more open, a little bit funkier. Keeping it a little more loose, and then when we get into the choruses, because we've got the two guitars as well, just being a little more rock with it. But for the verses, keeping it just a little looser, you know. So left-hand guitar is the same preset for amps, the same EQ, the same compression, the same room send. Yeah. Guitar 2 is this other Ramfire, slightly noisier guitar setting. It's a little more rock. It's a little more filling stuff out. Especially here. I think that sort of pre-chorus thing is really cool. Just adds that extra pressure. It's playing the same thing as the dulcimer. The dulcimer, which we'll look at in more detail, is playing this lovely, slightly janky melody. Just lovely. Guitar 2 is doing the same thing, but it's distorted and gross. I love that combo. I really do. Guitar 2, yes, is basically just doing the non-palm muted chuggy chords for the chorus. Again, I probably should have come in and re-recorded those, but I didn't. You know, it's all good. Guitar solo. So we've got some like little licks here and there. And again, I'm not being particularly careful with it. I'm just vibing, you know. So we've got that ascending octave line. and then we come into a kick-ass guitar solo. Which was my 6th attempt, apparently, at recording. And you can see that's one continuous take. There's a video on my socials where I'm playing that one continuous take. You can go see, and at the end I'm obviously like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting to do it in one, but there we were. I have copied that into this Guitar 2 setting, where I have macroed the room mix. Just as a cheeky way to like get a bigger sound without having to add an extra track. Just sounds a little more alive with that in there, you know. Cool. We also have like a sort of fading something.
Have you got somewhere?
What I like about that is it sounds like it's part of the rhythm guitar part, but it's not. I think when you listen to it, it just sounds like that's blending into that.
Have you got somewhere to be?
It's not, but it just sounds cool. The outro guitar solo, I didn't put a version in for that room sound. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Cy played a baritone guitar. Yes, he did. And you will not hear it. Here it is. If I played you that independently and was like, yo, where is this in the song? You would go, Liam, that's a different song. But no, it is in the left ear of the choruses from the very first chorus. And you miss something. It, like by itself, it sounds very funky. I think it's got like a funky sort of compression going on. Jazz amp and then big compressor there. Like by itself, it sounds too compressed. It's kind of gross, but then it just blends. And he also plays this thing. Which I just put like a big, ridiculous phaser on. Again, that's another way that I'm just trying to be Blur. So I just got him to record like a lot of stuff. I think he pretty much played through the entire track. Yeah, there you go. He played through most of the track, and I was like, "Cool, yeah, I want this much." I don't know how he feels about that. I think he's just glad to have some guitar in there, to be honest. Dulcimer. Dulcimer is played by the wonderful Ellie Winter. I met Ellie through a band called Tape Runs Out. Tape Runs Out are a fairly well-known independent band in Cambridge. Oh gosh, like 10 years ago, I was trying to do the music journalism thing. We didn't call it a podcast because we didn't have the word podcast back then. True story. And I met another guy called Liam, who's like the front person for Tape Runs Out. I think it's his sort of project. And Ellie, they came in to talk about Tape Runs Out. So the original version of that melody was played on an instrument called the Yang Chin. I wonder if I still have it. No, that's fine. Functionally exactly the same, but I was quite conscious of like, I got in my head around issues like cultural appropriation, and I have a long old chat on the Soundhole podcast about this whole thing, and I was really eager to say, okay, if I have an instrument from a culture that isn't my own, if it's an instrument especially that I can't play, I'm going to see if I can get someone with that appropriate background to play that instrument. And I couldn't find a Yangqin player in Cambridge. Weird, right? So then I thought, okay, what are some similar instruments? I think there's is it santur? I think the Indian instrument that's functionally the same. And there's hammered dulcimer. And then I remembered, oh yeah, hammered dulcimer, that's sort of a European kind of equivalency. Oh, and I know someone that plays it, Ellie Winter from Tape Runs Out. So I give Ellie a message, and they were like, yeah, let's play some dulcimer. So what we did was we had to go around the houses a little bit, because there's actually 2 songs Ellie played for me. They both required a slightly different, a slightly non-standard tuning. So I'm really grateful for all the retuning and the effort that went into learning this song. So the reason it needs tuning in a particular way is because of this. The melody is slightly janky. There is a chromatic note there that does not belong. Let's see if I can play it on the organ. It's something like... because it's B, E. No, that's not it. But it's basically... oh, I can play it on guitar. If I can find a guitar in my room full of guitars. Can I go big? Oh, that's not helpful. Okay, you can sort of see that. Okay, so it's the notes are, so it's just the 2nd fret of the G string and then the open B and E. So that's kind of a like an E sus 4. Yeah, it's an E sus 4. So we've got what's that pitch? That is an A. It would be if I was in tune. That's an A. A B E. A sharp. So if you were to play those chords as chords, that'd be E sus 4, and then B major 7 with an E, major 7 add 11. And then D A. Why did I do that? What's the earthly point in that? So I really feel, excuse me, squeaky chair. Help me buy a non-squeaky chair, Kofi. I really strongly feel that if you want to make a great sort of pop song, like I said, this is my attempt at being Blur, especially one that's sort of like evocative in a kind of 90s sort of way. Take a really normal ass chord pattern, E, B, D, A, and then play one note wrong. So that's what I did. I added the note A to all of those chords except the second one where it was A sharp, and it isn't B flat because there's also B. So it's A sharp. and it sounds janky. So that was why we had to retune the dulcimer. The dulcimer was literally recorded there, like right behind where I am now, right behind the streaming PC actually. We have a total of 5 channels for the dulcimer. We have the large diaphragm condenser, which it was probably it's the SE2000. That's where the majority of your sound is coming from. We then have an overhead pair of C430s, which are overhead drum mics. That's the only stereo pair of things I have. That's where you get the nice sort of air to the instrument. And we also have internal contact mics as well, which are actually quite nice sounding for internal mics. You get a little more attack from the strings. A hammer dulcimer, for those that don't know, is basically like a harp played with hammers, basically. So the combination sounds like this, which I really like. Each channel has its own EQ, mostly just getting rid of low room rumble because this isn't a perfect space. The internals have some compression on as well to try and like really bring out the pluckiness, and then they're automated together, so when they're not the focus, they're slightly more in the background. That's essentially all we're automating. And then it comes back in for the melody. I love that little roll as well. Big fan of all of that. Yeah. I took basically the same sort of approach with recording as I took with Harry. We played it for a few times. We sort of mixed and matched. Obviously, we were playing with audio, so rather than MIDI, so we had to make sure that the takes were basically as perfect as we could get them, because we didn't have the option to like minutely tweak things if we wanted to. Dulcimer, big fan of the dulcimer. Organ, I'm gonna bet that's the Oye Como Va preset. Yes, it is. Wonderful. This time I think we are automating the... No, we're not. I could have sworn like we would have automated the speed there, but apparently not. Sorry, let me just get rid of that. Yep, not important. Yes, so what is the organ playing? It's pretty much just fleshing out the chords everything else is doing. So in the right hand, we're just playing the A to A sharp from that open melody thing. And the left hand is basically just playing the same chords as everything else. We've got an inversion of the first chord, which is fine. So actually everything playing that melody is this. Big wall of sound. Fan of that. We got a slightly more funky melody in the verses. Yep. And otherwise it's just filling the sound. These are some glissandos that I recorded. And I just a crap load of glissandos in the solo. Really silly by itself, but it blends in a way that just absolutely kicks ass. I mean, you can't hear it, but it's in there. And I thought, if it's going to be that low down, because there's so much going on, I may as well just really take the mick. If I was to arrange this for an actual band, I'd just say to everyone, it's just party time. Just play whatever. Just don't even worry about it. We've got another sequence of glissandos here. Silly. Really fun though. Effects. So this effects thing sounds like the dulcimer, doesn't it? It's not. It's the yang chin. So I created a ambient fade out sequence thing with the yang chin. Hey, it's your girl Jess. How's it going? I created that sort of effecty outro thing using the yang chin plugin with the intention of replicating exactly the same effects with the dulcimer. But then in the end, I was like, you know what? It sort of doesn't need to be replaced. So it just sort of stayed. He's just got a crap load of delay on it. That's all. We've got some vocal effects here. I think what I did was take some of Sai's recordings and do the horror thing where you reverse it, put a crap load of delay and reverb on it, bounce that, and then reverse that. So we have this sort of buried in the mix. Which by itself is kind of scary, but with everything else and with the vocals.
Egos open or back away. How much do you make? Does it help you sleep?
I think it just adds an extra little dimension in there.
Does open or back away. How much do you make? Does it?
And it serves as a reminder that I am available for cinematic composition, something I have won award for. Only one, but still. Vocals, right, yes, the very cool stuff. So we have main vocal folder. You can see again here, this stuff that has the SE2000 and the Dynacaster is what we recorded on the first day. And then we have just layers of Dynacaster vocals as well.
The words you wrote to me, so short, so arbitrary.
The take that's slightly lower in volume has the delay on it.
That trap you said won't work if I don't fall into it.
Just, I don't know. That seemed like the right decision at the time. We have Harmony 1. So let's listen just to the... let's go to the outro, because I assume they'll be slightly harder.
So what'll you do?
Then with Harmony 1.
Now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time.
Harmony 2.
No thanks to you, no thanks to you.
Just come on.
So what'll you do? Now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time.
So in terms of processing, there isn't actually a lot going on. Maybe there should be, man. I don't know. We've got vocal harmony. There must be processing going on. There must be. Did I bypass it for some reason? Maybe I bypassed it for some reason. Okay, let's try that.
Now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time. No thanks to you, no thanks to you.
Alright, whatever. Basically just compressing and not worrying about them being perfect, just sort of keeping them tight and low in the mix. I think just as a combo with everything else, it sounds awesome.
So what'll you do? Now that I'm doing fine and making up for lost time. No thanks to you, no thanks to you.
Yeah. Just cool. Just very cool stuff. What do we got here in terms of vacuums? Oh, okay. So they are going through. Right. Okay. I see what happened here. So I did have them compressed at the group level here, but then both of these groups go to another backing Vox group where there is further EQ and compression. So they don't need to be EQ'd and compressed by themselves, I suppose. Yeah. So that's no thanks to you. This is a pop song that I wrote. I really like it. It's got a kick-ass guitar solo and a hammered dulcimer. Truly, what else do you want from me? Let's have a little look at the master level stuff. If I can just find the folder, that would be wonderful. But talk amongst yourselves. Don't talk amongst yourselves. It's fine. So I need to go into... I just need to remember where all of my stuff is. It's kind of spread around because I'm trying to, save some space. And this is the one project file I didn't actually test, so... no thanks to you, Mixmaster. It looks like it's finding everything. It has found everything. Right, so what I did was essentially everything you heard up to this point has been creative songwriting process. There's little things where I went, ooh, it doesn't quite sound as dense as I want, so maybe we try this, this, and this. So there was some going back and forth, but this project file, basically, I didn't want to be automating anything, basically, except for the Maximizer plugin, which we'll get to later. So we have all of the consistent things on these consistent tracks. So we have drums, sub-kick, percussion, bass, rhythm guitar, organ, and vocals and backing vocals were consistent throughout. We then, rhythm guitars changed a little bit. Distorted guitar 2 changed a little bit. Guitar room, apparently I didn't have one in No Thanks to You, whatever. Lead guitars somewhat consistent. Baritone and 8-string on 2 tracks. Folk bits not very consistent, which is why we have 2 tracks there. Acoustic guitar only in kicking and screaming. FX only in these 2. Lead vocals and backing vocals were consistent. And there's some little bits here where, actually, I think, are these separate takes? I'm not entirely sure. 15. Are they separate volumes, maybe? I'm not really sure why I cut that there. Oh, okay. It's just because that had too much attack to it, so I just manually fixed it. Fine. What, little tiny things. If it's something as tiny as that, I'm not going to go back and open the other project file, because who's got the time? So the idea was to try and keep these at fairly consistent volumes. There's tiny little things. Okay, just little tiny volume adjustments here and there. No big deal. The purpose of doing this as one track is basically for consistency. Now, these are going out to digital platforms, so I don't really have much control over how a song sounds once it's uploaded to YouTube, once it's uploaded to Spotify, Deezer, wherever. I don't actually have control of how it sounds, because they're going to do whatever nonsense they're going to do to make your track sound comparable to other things on the platform. The only person that really has control over that is someone like Taylor Swift, so someone with that much of a large catalogue and that many listeners. You want to make sure that artist is happy. Spotify don't care about me, and I'm sort of okay with that, because I don't care about them. So my attitude is that as long as they're consistent with themselves on whatever platform, that's fine. I would rather people download the music from me from Ko-fi and pay a couple quid for that. I think I'm literally asking for £3. I can't remember. Because then you're hearing the music as I intend it. But basically my attitude is that mixing doesn't exist now the way it did 20 years ago, because we're not really listening on CDs anymore. If someone wants to come along and offer me a record deal, then I'm going to let someone else do the mastering and do a great job of it to make sure it sounds really kick-ass on whatever physical media it goes on to. My attitude for mastering, finalizing these tracks for upload, is to make sure that it sounds good, and it's kind of loose. It's not quite as overcompressed as a lot, especially of rock music at the moment. We're going to let the platforms ruin the songs in terms of normalizing and compression in their own very special ways. So I want to leave quite a bit of space for that to happen at the top. So trying to keep it a little bit loose. We have a few plugins going on, not many. Frequency, what's this? I think I automated the cymbals to come down on the first. Yes. So I automated the cymbal level, the very high end of the drums, to come down entirely in Look You in the Eyes and Kicking and Screaming, and then only in the verses, I think, for No Thanks to You. Again, a fairly easy thing to fix at this level. There's no automation here. Bass, what are we automating here? Oh, actually nothing. Fine. Rhythm guitar, just the keeping the level slightly different, and then I don't know if that's necessarily on purpose, but too late now. I don't think there is actually anything happening there. Yeah, so there's no real automation happening other than a couple tiny things. So what I did was, all of these tracks, I grabbed all of them and I send them to 2 effects channels. Not group channels, effects channels. Effects channel number 1 is the room. The level of the room is automated somewhat. Everything goes in here. We have a master bus preset for EQ, and then we have a crap load of delay. 5 seconds of delay, 4.5 seconds of delay, 100% mix, and then that level we are mixing in and out. It's sort of hard to hear it. And we're automating that out when the song ends and fading it in as the song begins. There's a few little bits like this sort of vocal choir thing where we're just boosting the reverb ever so slightly just to get a slightly roomier sound. Likewise, I think with the drums circling, kicking and screaming, just to get a bit more room in there. Otherwise, we're just top and tailing, just raising it up when the track comes in, fading it out when the track fades out. Plugin number 2. Ozone is a very interesting... It says it's AI powered. I don't think it's really AI powered in the way that we think of what that means. You tell it to listen to your song and it tells you this is how you should master it. And I say, thanks Ozone, that's too loud. So what I do is I introduce a bit of that. I let it do its own thing, and then I set it to minus 20 decibels. So we have a send, again, it tops and tails. We fade it in, we fade it out, and throughout the track, it's just doing whatever Ozone thinks is the right thing for your song. So it's in there, just adding depth, tightness to the mix. Those 2 effects set to basically minus 20 decibels each, and everything else go through the master stereo out fader. And this is what I do at the master level. We do the demudder preset in frequency. We do the master more air preset, Magneto 2, just to add a little bit of crispy sort of distortion. We add the imager. I think this starts out as the 4 bands expanded wideness. I bring down the sub 200 a little bit. We have a maximizer, and the frequency and the supervision are just at the end here for me to just check on stuff. The maximizer is automated. This is what it's all about for me, for this EP, in terms of the mastering, this is what it's all about, the maximizer. So we have optimize and we have mix. I see here I faded out the optimize. Okay. The way it works is like this. I never want to hit 100% on the mix. I want to sort of find what I think is the sort of the most maximized, the most sort of compressed, the most squished, the most limited, maximized I want the song to be. And I don't go above that. It's 85% for this song. It's also 85% here. It's also 84. I messed up. Close enough. That is how high the mix is going to be at the highest points in these songs, which is the outro chorus, and the chorus before the outro chorus in No Thanks to You. That is the highest point. Everything else is working towards that. So these low dips here, these are verses, and then we're gradually getting more and more maximized as we work towards the final chorus. So obviously it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, like a rocky mountain or whatever, but overall it goes up, doesn't it? Same here. We start here and we end up here. Gradually goes up, gradually goes up, gradually goes up, but we have contrast, yeah? And I think for the drum circle, we actually come further down. That's 47% compared to 50%. Yeah, ever so slightly lower for that little drum circle thing. And that is how you sort of add variety and growth to the dynamics. I have experimented with all sorts of mastering nonsense like mid-side compression, automating width, stereo effects. You know, it just doesn't do it for me. I'm trying to keep it simple, stupid, you know. That's what I did. That's how I made my songs. I'm very tired, having spoken for, well, probably 3 hours, considering the screw up earlier that you guys haven't seen, because it's a separate video file. Don't worry about it. Look, I'm really pleased with Kicking and Screaming, the new EP by Blue Alatar, which you can find everywhere that you would normally expect to find music. If you go to my Ko-fi, you can, 1, buy me a coffee, which would be nice because I'm sleepy. 2, you can download these songs for probably cheaper than any other platform. It also means that I think 98% of the money you put into Ko-fi, I get in my pocket pretty immediately. I like Ko-fi. It's sort of a combination of Patreon and BandCamp. And I have quite a lot of control over how my stuff looks and sounds on there, which I really dig. Yeah, that's everything I have to say about Kicking and Screaming. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you take some time to listen to it. It's only like, 12, 13 minutes long. It's not a big time investment, but if you could put it on repeat while you're asleep, that'd be great. Rack up them numbers for me. I want to talk about live streaming in general really quickly, and I appreciate the Facebook channels might not be aware of the live stream deal. So, like, without giving you a full-on history lesson, I used to do, like, weekly YouTube videos. It was a lot of work for basically no views. And I switched to, occasionally some cool stuff would come out of it. I switched to the live stream schedule because that was a more time efficient way to also achieve no views. And I appreciate that there's a handful of you that appear every now and again in the chat, and it's lovely to chat with you, and it's lovely to make music on what is now this monthly routine. So I swapped to the monthly schedule just because, it's hard to justify, especially as a freelancer, it's hard to justify putting a lot of time into something when it just isn't growing. And I do understand that people can't always come to a live stream, and you will get value from these streams by hanging out later. and watching the archive. That's fine. That's absolutely great. But I need to not for a little bit. I have a couple opportunities. Some of them are in making music. Some of them are in making more sort of YouTube videos, a little bit like what I used to do. I have some opportunities to reach a very specific, a very interesting audience in doing that. So for a little bit, I'm going to concentrate on that. So this is the last scheduled live stream for a while. I do have more music coming out, and I would quite like to do this sort of live stream again for that, because it's a different set of songs. There's different set of processes. The mastering will probably be similar to this, but the actual composition and the instruments will be very different. So I think there's a lot of value I can get from doing that. The next time I do a live stream, it's not going to be like a formal monthly second Monday of the month, because I already screwed up by choosing the second Monday, because I have to do the conversation hat streams on the first Sunday. So I have 2 days every month. The only time I do live streams is days next to each other. So look, if you'd like the live streams, tell me in the comments, but you're going to have to promise to actually come to them. Yeah. When they're live. And if you tell me when the best time for you is, I will see if I can arrange to do live streams then in the future. I am going to go and make YouTube content in a slightly more traditional way. I will continue to make stupid shorts because I enjoy making stupid shorts and they're quite easy to do. There will be more live streams. I'm just not making promises about when yet. If it works out that I can find a schedule for live streams, then I will do that. But for the moment, it doesn't make... squeaky chair undermining me. For the moment, it doesn't make sense to do that, yeah? I'm still doing the conversation hat streams because they have an audience that shows up. It's not... it's just a comedy stream. It's just me and Ben being idiots at Convo Hat Podcast. So if you want to interact with me in a live environment, that's the place to come. First Sunday of the month. Yes, I am not going anywhere. I'm just not doing live streams for a bit. Yes. Okay. It's all positive stuff. I need to reprioritize for a little bit. So don't feel that like I'm struggling or anything. Like I am genuinely thriving. I'm having a great time. I'm living life at the moment. It just doesn't make logical sense to carry on doing the live streams. I want to put that energy into this new opportunity that may or may not work out. Yeah? Cool. That was uplifting to end on, wasn't it? Yes. Bye.